Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our First Principles webinar. This webinar is focused on why to choose React.js for product development. Building a product is a task that requires utmost planning, road mapping, following processes to the T, but also ensuring that it's easy to build right from the MVP and scalable thereon to assure that all the features that have been planned are built without any hiccups. One of the most important pieces here is to choose the tech stack to build a product. So scalability, security, time to market, the resources, the development time, everything has to be taken into consideration, and as well as the cost of maintenance as well to choose the tech stack. But today in our webinar, we are going to focus on why React.js is the leading contender for this. To elucidate this, we have Zarar Palekar. He's a full stack developer at First Principles with years of experience in working on various stacks like .NET, Mean and MERN stacks. I would request the audience to keep themselves muted. And also, if you have any queries, please put them in the chat box. We'll have a question and answer session at the end, and Zarar will be able to definitely clarify any queries that you have. So I'm handing the floor over to you, Zarar.
Thanks, Padmaja. So, hi everyone. Let me just share my screen. Yep. So, hi everyone. This is Zarar Palekar with you, as Padmaja briefed about me. So, today we are going to take a look at why switching to React.js could be the best decision for any product. So, what is basically React.js? So, React.js is a library and not a framework. And what is the difference between library and framework? Let's take a look at it. So, basically, library is something which is an empty box where you have the whole control over what you want to, add or remove. It is up to you. The whole control is with you. But when it comes to a framework like Angular, there are many things which are already there out of the box, which you may or may not need. So that is something which takes like a bit of a control out of your hand. And due to it being like a framework which already has many things like Angular, as I said, it comes with a bundled package which has a bit of a more size as compared to React. So overall, due to it, React becomes a much faster performing platform when compared to something like a framework which is library or any other for that matter. So basically, if we see like any platform, like any if we compare between React or Angular, the development workflows are nearly same. It becomes a matter of personal preference. But as I said, React being a library, it is totally up to you how you want to tinker around. And because of the straightforwardness of JSX, you would be taking a look at what I mean by JSX as well. So that helps you there because you can build up your stack as per your own need. Whereas Angular, it provides you with a ready-made stack and you have to work around with that. So that is one of the core difference, which also leads to performance differences, as I said earlier. So here is a very small example of a React-based application. This is a simple calculator, which you see. This is you can say this is the label where you will choose the value. This is the keypad, and this is the action button. If you see below, I have just made a small snippet out of it. So you have different components, and on top, like these components are basically being defined somewhere else. And what you see here is what I meant by JSX. We'll take a look at it later on as well. But the idea behind JSX is you being very any developer who is very familiar working on HTML, he would be able to grasp it easily as compared to something like Angular, where the templating is a bit more different as compared to this JSX templating of React. So why to choose React now? First thing being flexibility. So as I said, React.js being a library, it gives us a lot of flexibility when it comes to choosing the tools, the right tools for your needs. And like it would be something which will be in your hand to customize it to the max as compared to any other framework which are not that flexible. User experience. So React actually works on virtual DOM. Now, there is like two things. There's virtual DOM and there is real DOM. What happens is if we work on the real DOM, the updations on the UI, it takes a little bit of a time. So being on the virtual DOM, React working on and tinkering around with the virtual DOM, the experience could be a very big difference because it updates a lot faster. Whatever UI changes are there, it's very prompt in updating. So that is why, if as far as user experience is considered, we should go with React. And combined with the latest things which are coming around, that ES6 and ES7, it becomes like to manage a heavy load, like whatever data, like whatever may be the build amount of data you are working with. Because of virtual DOM, it becomes a lot more faster to have a good dynamic user interface and user experience. Also, mobile solutions. So now we have like n number of ways to do mobile development. You can you might be knowing about Flutter and things like that, Objective-C, Swift. But React.js helps here. It is like you code once and you deploy anywhere. You might be knowing about React Native. So once you build a code on React, it can be deployed on any platforms. That is the beauty. That is one of the most beautiful thing about React is you can easily deploy on any platform, regardless of it being a mobile or a web. So that is what I meant by it. You can code once and you can deploy it at any platforms you want to. So yeah, testing. Testing is a very important part of any web application, or for that matter, any application. So there are many tools using which you can play around with the with the data. I am considering here Redux, which is also like a third-party library which you can use on top of React. Why I am discussing about Redux here is it is very much in use along with React to manage the state, application level state, global application level state. And Redux, being a third-party library as well, it has its own developer tools which helps you in testing. So for example, if something goes something goes wrong on your production application, you can, with the help of Redux, you can point out like where exactly is my application failing, where exactly the data is not coming from. So this helps a lot with testing purpose. And just as a reminder, I'm talking about a third-party library which is working with React. So just imagine if something if something comes up with React and React makes it on its own, how good of a testing it would be if if React implements its own testing. Obviously, React also has its own developer tool using which also you can just see what is going wrong on the application level, on the UI level. So that is about testing. Yeah. So code, like React is a one-directional data binding, and what I mean by one-directional data binding is whenever you want to render anything, it does not communicate two-way. You just pass your data, whatever is the updated data, and it renders on the UI. So due to it, first thing is it affects the performance, because in two-directional data binding, it takes some time to get the data and get the response, and then based on the response you will render the data. It takes time if it is a two-directional data binding. React.js being a one-directional data binding, the performance is very fast, and from a developer's perspective as well, understanding the code, when you are going through any code, understanding the code becomes a lot more easier if it is written in React, which is following a one-directional data binding. So React, it basically it works on a component-based approach. And what I mean by component, I will obviously take it forward in the next coming up slides, and I will explain what do I mean by components. But basically, this is the best thing about React, where you follow a component-based development approach. You can have a component build once, and you can use it anywhere. So earlier, when it used to be a HTML-based web application, there was many repetitions for anything you need on UI. If suppose you needed to add two to three different places, there was a lot of repetition. But React solves it very gracefully. It has given you the components-based approach, where you build a component and you can use it a number of times wherever you want throughout your application. I will give you an example of that for sure in the next coming slides. Yeah, performance wise, as I said, since React works on virtual DOM, it ensures a high performance, and also like may it be having a data coming from the database which is in a large volume, but since it works on virtual DOM, the user experience is definitely far superior than anything in the market. Okay, so why to go with React? So if it is ideal for you, if you are looking for flexibility and simplicity, when your team has a knack of HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So as I said, React works on the JSX approach, and anyone who is familiar with HTML, if he comes across a JSX written code, he would understand that basically it looks like a HTML, it works also like a HTML, but the good thing about it is you can directly pass data on that JSX file, which looks like an HTML and renders the data. So when your team has a knack of HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, obviously, since it is a component-based approach, you can make it a lot scalable if you want to enhance your applications, functionality in the future. If you want to go with a microservices-based architecture, going with React would be the best choice, because it will help you in making your making your application scalable. You can push out the POCs very faster, and you can push out the development like the production features as well as very faster. Yeah, so in case of dynamic content where the apps update regularly, so that is already we have discussed that virtual DOM, it helps there. When you want a highly customized app solution, definitely, because as I said, it is a library, so you have it in your control how much of a custom stack you want to build on top of it. Okay, so this is a very good point for the developers here. So is React.js easier to learn as compared to Angular, Ember? One thing about React is you have the option, either you can work on it with JavaScript or with TypeScript. Now something like Angular, for starting up with Angular, you should first know the TypeScript, because Angular works on TypeScript. So that is one of the major points which makes it a lot easier for the developers to start with React as compared to something like Angular. Also, as I said, it follows a JSX based approach. So, and one directional data binding. So here comes a very good part where the the flow of code is easily readable for any newcomer who joins a project and the project is made on React. It is very much understandable, like what is the code trying to say, as compared to something like Angular or others where it is two-way data binding. You have to go through different pages, different files to understand what is happening. It is not the case in React. In React, it is a lot more easier. So anybody who wants to start, if he has a knowledge of props, state, and React components, he can start with React front-end development, and gradually he can learn complex things as and when it is required. And obviously, since React is a lot in demand, so one thing to note here is Angular or some other frameworks have been in the market for a lot of time. React is relatively new, but since React has been in a lot of demand, the community is growing like anything. It is growing very rapidly. If at all you get stuck at any point, the React community is already out there. The issue you might be facing might have already been addressed in the in all the forums and everywhere. So that also helps a lot. It is a very good thing for a developer to start building on React. So final verdict from a developer's point of view. Yeah, so as we saw in the earlier slides, React is a lot easier to learn as compared to some other frameworks like Angular. It is lightweight, as we said, because of the pre-bundled packages which comes in case of Angular. That is not the case with React, so that helps it to keep it very lightweight, and that indirectly helps in your performance overall of the application. Templating, as I said about JSX, JSX is far more easier as compared to some another templating styles, as compared to if you compare it with Angular or some other frameworks. Okay. Now, from a business perspective, let's come to a business perspective. Now you see these all company logos. Do you know what is common between all these big companies? Well, they all are using React.js. So these are some of the some of the companies which I'm mentioning here, but the list goes on and on. Why are these, like, why do people or these companies prefer React over something like Angular or something else? Is because of these features, like which I'll take you straight forward to it. The components reusability. We are here also in first principles. We are using components to like n number of places. We are building a component once and we are using it n number of places throughout our code. We are not, writing repetitive code. Once a component which is going to be used at different places is built, we just import it and we use it. So that is one of the points, like where maintaining a project is a good thing when it comes to using React. It is a lot more easier. Ability to build new MVP features fast. So you can create your POCs very faster, and it is and at the same time you can keep it very stable and very scalable as well. Stability is something we'll talk about in the next coming slides. Why I mean that it can be faster to push out things on production while keeping it stable. I will take it in the future slides, next coming slides. Obviously, we talked about different platforms. So as a business, if you want to, if you want your whatever product you're going with, if you have in your mind that it should not just be a web app, it should be on the different platforms as well, maybe Android or iOS, you should definitely consider React for that matter, because React JS and React Native, it is like there is no major difference in that. You just code once and you just deploy it everywhere natively. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about from the stability point of view. Earlier applications used to be on a monolithic architecture. Now this is in a different topic altogether. What is meant by monolithic and microservices? So just as a small explanation, microservices is like you have different services and that come together to build your application, one big application. Whereas monolithic is everything is tightly coupled. So you have one big application and everything is tightly coupled in that. Now, what is the beauty about having a microservice architecture is because every service is different and you build a new feature separately and then bind it to your main application. So at that time, what happens if there is any issue with that particular service which you made and it went to production and there was an issue, it will only affect that part. It won't affect your ongoing process. So what I mean by it is, suppose you have an application which is already showing images. Okay, now you come in, you want those images to show comments as well. So you can have a microservice architecture where this image is a completely different service. These comments are coming from somewhere else, and even if something goes wrong with that services of bringing in comments, you can just remove it without affecting the ongoing process. So that is the good thing about microservice architecture, and that helps in the stability. So ongoing processes, the product which is already being in use by the end users, they won't face any issues with that. Something new came up and that had an issue, that can definitely be rolled back and fixed and redeployed, but your ongoing things won't be affected. So that is the beauty of our microservice architecture. And why I am talking about it here is, since React follows a component-based approach, we can have different components, different small parts of our application, which will be deployed as a microservice. So that helps a lot with the bringing up the scalability factor, as well as the stability factor, as well as security point of view as well. It is a good thing to go with a microservice architecture. So overall, this will help you in keeping your production version of application very stable for the actual users with minimal bugs and outages. So this is just a chart which will help you understand the the liking in the community for React. So if you see, the red part shows who all don't want to go with that, the number of percentage of people who don't want to go with that particular technology, versus the right hand side, which shows you the number of people who are willing to again use that technology. So this gives us an idea from a business perspective that we as a business, if we go with the technology which is best in use and best in demand, we will get a lot of developers who will be already skilled in React. So that will help your business, help your product grow faster as compared to some another tools or framework which are currently being disliked in the community. Yeah, so coming to a very good, very important point as far as business perspective, business is considered. Earlier, the problem with with React was having SEO. It was a point of a concern for the businesses. So achieving SEO through React was a bit difficult because it was due to React following a client-side rendering approach. So what happens was the browser or the SEO bots which are used to crawl through the application, they used to get an empty HTML file or the file or a file which are with a very less content. And because of that, what happened was SEO wasn't achievable because the SEO bots wouldn't be able to crawl through your website because there is no content, since React follows a client-side rendering approach. Now, this issue is also being tackled by using techniques such as pre-rendering or for that matter, server-side rendering. I will take you to something which is a bit newer in the upcoming slides, which will help in SEO and which is kind of like a upcoming trend with React. Yeah, so to sum it up, if you are a startup, you are just starting up with a project, you can, and if finance is something which is for you it is a point of concern, then you can start a project with React. In the initial stage of application going live, there won't be a huge traffic, a huge number of users using that application of yours. So you can start with a very basic infrastructure, and with the help of React as a front-end library, you can develop a very good product. So your infrastructure, your backend infrastructure might be little bit weak, but using React, you can have a very good UX. And as and when your traffic on your application goes on increasing, or the number of users who are registering or using your application, it goes on increasing, you can definitely update your infrastructure, and at that time you will be more financially stable. So you can upgrade your infrastructure at that time with minimum efforts from developers side to do anything over there. So overall, if we even upgrade the infrastructure, it would not be a costly affair as compared to some another stacks where you like suppose if you are going with an in-house server or something like that, it would be a lot more costlier as compared to something using a cloud-based backend. Yeah. So as I mentioned about in a previous slide that we'll talk more about something related to SEO. So there is something which is coming up in the in the field of React that is Next.js. So now what is Next.js? So Next.js is something which is built on top of React only, but with server-side rendering. So what does it mean? What does this mean? This means that using Next.js, we have out-of-the-box support for SEO. So any existing businesses who have their applications already built on top of React, they can easily migrate to Next.js because it is not big of a learning curve for your developers. With minimum learning, they can implement Next.js. And because of it, what will happen is you will be able to achieve the best of the both worlds. And what I mean by that is you will, since it is built on top of React, so you will have that snappiness of the UI because of React. And since Next.js comes with server-side rendering, it will help you in your SEO. So that is something which you should consider. Also, any businesses who are now at the stage of starting up with a product, I would suggest not to go with React, but use Next.js, which is on top of React, which will help you in both the things, making a good UX as well as a good SEO support out of the box. So how exactly React works? As I said, React, it follows a component-based development structure. Handling dynamic data, so because of it being a component-based structure, because of it you using JSX approach, where it is like kind of you have a HTML which is playing directly with your data. So it is very easy to understand because it feels like you are working on HTML only, but it is something which is far more superior than HTML. Since it follows a component-based structure, modifying an existing application is a lot simpler. Understanding any issues in any part of your UI is very much easy if you are working with React. Let me show you an example for it. Okay, so what is a component? So a component can be anything which you see on your UI. It can be your header, it can be the buttons which you use, it can be the call to actions which you have, it can be some collection of post or anything. Let me give you an example for that, what I mean by component. So here you see it is my own website. What I meant by component is, and it is made on top of React only. React is my front end which I have used over here. So what I mean by component is this, you see the black thing, is a navbar, it is a separate component. So for example, in a production level application, something goes wrong in this part, so you know where you have to go because something is failing in this component only. This is the cover image. This also is a separate component which is using carousel. The images which you see sliding, it is known as carousel. This is what the text which is coming is a separate component. I can anytime change this data and it will be there on the same position, but with the change data. That is the beauty about using a component-based structure. This is also like a part of it. Now, component reusability that I talked about. You see here there are 4 to 5 different blocks, right? You see the content is different, the inner content is different, the heading is different. But as a matter of fact, these all components are just single one component. Just what I'm doing is I'm reusing that component to have different content. So whatever you see here, the base is the same here, just the content is different. So that is the beauty about reusing of component. Let me show you one more example. Now here you see my experience cards. You will see it is like the content is different in each of my experience card, but the baseline component is the same. So what I mean is I'm reusing this component with different components with different content. So that is the beauty of using React, that you can have a component and you can reuse it a number of times. So that was about it. Let me get back to the slides. So think of components as Lego blocks. Those blocks which I showed you on my website, it was different blocks which were having different content, but baseline, the base block was one only, and the content was changing. So this is one more example of that. So you see here there is an image circle. There's a background which can be of any color. There is a content component, and these all are coming together and forming a major component. And this major component, you are using it across, like you are using it multiple times, as we see on my website as well. And since these are different components, you can have it separately as well. So you can have your main image, you can have your main about, as we saw in that website as well, and you can have your this clubbed component as different components here. So that is the example of what I mean by components. Yeah. So now coming to the a very important point is what should be the deciding factors when you are trying to go with React. So one thing to keep in mind is React is relatively new. So the number of updates, the number of updates, like the version updates which come with React, is quite frequent as compared to some another more stable frameworks like Angular, which are there in the market for a long time. So this thing we need to keep in mind. So because usually coming up update is a welcome thing, but sometimes it brings in unwanted issues with that updates. So this is something which you should take into consideration, that frequent updates are good, but do you want to actually go with it? Also, if your application which you have made, like suppose if you have made an application 4 to 5 years back, now if you are on that version which was of React which was there at that time, and you are not upgrading it to one of the latest stable versions, then that can be also an issue, because what happens is the libraries which you use, the developers who are building those libraries may not support the older version of the React. So that is something which might cause an issue. So this is also something which you should take care, that you should neither be on a very latest version, and also you should not be on a very old version of React. So here, as I said, we need to find a middle path, that is not to go with the newest version, but not to stay on an older version as well. Okay. Good thing about React is, so if you go through the React documentations, they will show you that this is our the latest version of React, but this can be unstable. Here is another version of React which is relatively new but stable as well. So they call it as a LTS version, which is long-term support stable version. So that is a good thing about React, which it tells you that, hey, we have this long-term support version. You can go with that, and you can as and when the next version it becomes stable, we will let you know, and you can then migrate your application to that version of the React. So these above are some of the points which you should consider before jumping into building a product. That's it. That is all what I wanted to say about React here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Zarar, for that wonderful presentation and giving us insights on why to use React.js for product development. So it was really explained beautifully. We have a few questions here for you. So let me just start with the first question. How much time in your experience does it take for anybody who is skilled with other JS skill to get up to speed with React? So if somebody want like a SaaS firm wants to move to React after the MVP and they do not want to get a new person, how much time do you think an in-house developer will take time to actually scale up to the task?
Okay. So for any framework or for any library, it is built on top of JS only. So JavaScript is something which is the core. Without it, you can't jump to any of the framework, may it be React, may it be Angular. But since React is relatively very much easier, so I don't think for anybody who is very much already skilled with JS and HTML, it should not take more than 3 months to completely switch to being a React developer. And 3 months is something which I'm saying very taking into consideration every point and everything. But if anybody who is very much quick in grasping things, 3 months is also a relatively huge time.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that's good. And you spoke about how React supports SEO as well now, the indexing of the crawlers.
Yeah.
So there's an upcoming framework which is called like Next.js. I think it's coming as a layer on top of React.
Yes.
So if an existing big product wants to do that instead of going on for any other type of rendering services, server side rendering, so how large will that transition be?
Okay, so the point with using Next.js is I will go into a technicality of it. So earlier in React, so in React, if you wanted to route to some another page on the application or some another section of the application, you used to need React router. Now the good thing about Next.js is you don't need all these kind of routing libraries. So that is something which will take a bit of a time because the pages, because the way Next.js works is it needs all these different pages in a separate structure in your project. So that is something which will require a bit of an effort, but that would be a effort which would just take time. It would not take time to understand the things. Understanding point of view or implementing point of view, it is very easy, but just that the structure which you will need to change in your existing project, that will take a little bit of time. Other than that, it is all good to migrate to Next.js.
All right. Okay. Okay. So we have now spoken. The next question of mine is we have now spoken about the advantages of React. Can you tell us any limitations that React has? I mean, everything has two sides, right? So what are the actual limitations of React from your opinion?
Okay. So as I mentioned in the in the last of my few slides, there are like people are using React is upgrading like left, right, center. It is upgrading every now and then. So it is not like we say that we should migrate and all that stuff, but sometimes if your application it is grown too large and it is on a previous version, the major, like according to me, in my opinion, the major factor which is a con is that deprecation thing. If at all a major part of your application gets deprecated, then that will be something which will cause you a lot of production issues. That is something you need to keep in mind, that obviously it is not easy to migrate to another version. There are some things which you need to take care, but you should not withhold from migrating, because if at all something completely gets deprecated and out of support, then that could be an issue for your production applications. So that is one of the cons which I can think of. Other than that, nothing comes in my mind other than that. Frankly.
So very few limitations then.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What are the differences between like controlled and uncontrolled components?
Okay. So as I said about dynamic, like two-way binding and one-way binding. Here comes the part, like in React, you like whatever data will come, you don't have control over it. Like whatever comes, it is as it is. You just you just take it and you just render it. Whereas something like Angular, where it is two-way data binding, you have control over the components. You have control over whatever data which is coming in that component. So that is a major difference between the, which I can think of. But that is also like that thing itself is like a con as well, because of two-way data binding, it takes a lot of time to render comparatively when we compare it with something like React, which is one-way data binding, which is a lot faster. I think you're mute.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah. Thanks, Zarar. Thanks a lot for answering those questions. Like, it's a very informative session, and especially thank the audience who made this session a success as well. If the audience has any other questions, please feel free to ask. Is there anybody, if you want to raise your hands and ask any questions, Zarar, we are open here. No. So thank you so much, Zarar, for that session. And that concludes our webinar. And thanks for taking the time. And you all have a nice evening. Thanks. Thank you.